Hey everyone, it's Andrew Bryanton back here for my next video blog, and carrying on from my last one, I'm going to draw some similarities to running for sure in this one and draw things back and forth, but this is probably again a little bit more on the broader spectrum of life in general, but you'll be able to see the links between running and training as I go along here. So what I've labeled this video is Embrace the Suck. Now you're probably wondering what that is, and I was up until today. I saw someone mention that in just a YouTube video that they were doing, and they were training for an Ironman, and this individual was or had a mother that was battling a very aggressive ovarian cancer and battled for about 6 months and passed away just recently, and they were running their Ironman just in the month of November. So currently right now in November 2019, it was their first Ironman that they were training for, and their mom had passed away just before that. And that was his motto, was embrace the suck. And the reason why he had that motto was, from what I gather anyways, is that there's a lot of bad stuff that's happening. His mom was going through cancer, an aggressive cancer, and he put in perspective that, the training that I'm going through and all that is nothing. It's absolutely nothing compared to what my mom is going through, towards other problems in the world that other people are going through, and he really put things into perspective. And he doesn't want to focus on the negativity at all. Like, that's not what he's saying. He's not saying to just focus or assume that, everything's going to be negative that's going to happen. Not at all. He wants you to stay positive and just put things into perspective. There may have been things that, if you look on a different perspective, that, maybe you've been hurt in the past. Maybe, that you're going through some tough times now, whether it be physical, whether it be, someone's died. There's an endless list of problems that we could go through. And if we haven't gone through them, or very much, we're going to, or we are right now. And I'll maybe take a little leap into a story that I saw on 60 Minutes, and you'll see how it sort of segues between the two. I saw this back in 2016, and I'm going to read it relatively verbatim just because I want to make sure it's accurate, or at least to the best of my knowledge it's accurate. So this interview was done, and they interviewed someone who was wrongfully convicted of murder back in the 1980s and was in jail for 30 years, for 3 decades because of it. And obviously they eventually determined after 3 decades in prison that this person was not the murderer. So they then asked this man, a 60 Minutes interviewer did, "Are you angry?" And he paused and said, "No." The reporter responded, "How could you not be? 3 decades of your life. Most all of your life." The man then responded, "They took 30 years of my life, as you said. What joy I have, I cannot afford to give them. And so being angry is letting them win." The reporter then stated, "You'd still be in prison." The man then responded, "Oh, absolutely. I'm a person that loves to laugh. I love to see other people smile. And how can I smile when I'm full of hate? And so the 30 years that they got from me, I count every day as a joy." And that's coming from someone who spent 30 years in prison for something he didn't deserve, he didn't do. And again, that puts into perspective, it could be, you're going through tough times. It could be stuff that, maybe there's a reason, or you're the reason you're going through. You're your own worst enemy, that you caused it. It could be like him. He didn't do anything to deserve that, but he's, lived 30 years in prison. And look at the attitude that he's come out with. I mean, I'd hope that I would do the same, but I doubt it. Like, I would be angry. And, like he mentions in his interview, that's, if he felt hatred, angry, continually after he got out, like, he'd be just locked away for even longer. He'd be back in prison, maybe not physically, but mentally still in prison. And I think, as people, as Christians especially, we feel that, or we get the notion that walls are all of a sudden just going to fall down, as we get to them. Like things are just going to happen, and or even worse, we're going to be led around the problems altogether. And biblically, I used to think that. And when you actually look at the Bible and start looking at it from that question or perspective, you see that it's not the truth at all. You see the disciples, that they weren't led around the problems at all. They were more likely, or they were led right into them. And there's a reason for that. And God entrusts his reputation on his body, on his people, to go out into the world and, like, Dick and Rick Hoyt, to make the world a better place. And that's why more often than not, we're not led around them. We're actually led straight into them for a very good reason. And we look at it maybe from a personal perspective. And I know for me personally, going back and looking at some of the problems, issues, downtimes that I've had in the past, going through them are terrible. They're not, you don't want to go back through them again. But at the same time, you look back at them and you see the growth personally that was there. And I'll make the comparison to, if you're trying to get strong physically and you're lifting 5-pound weights, you're probably not going to get very strong lifting that. You need to lift heavier weights to get stronger. And it's the same with our walk in life. For us to get stronger personally, to be better people, we got to go through tough times. We got to go through problems. And it's not just going through the tough problems, but how do we respond to that? How do we stay positive in that? How do we keep moving forward when, we just feel like going to bed and crying some days? It's one of those things where we need to go through tough times. They aren't fun. I know they aren't fun at all. And, me personally right now, it's been 2 years of just not fun. And a lot of it, quite honestly, is self-inflicted. I know that. For that person that was in jail, that wasn't self-inflicted. But whether it's self-inflicted or not, we need to hang in there. We need to know that God is using that for the good if we let him. There's a saying that you can either become bitter or better. And yeah, it's our perspective on it, and embracing the suck. And we have to have that focus that we need to stay positive, and we need to keep moving on, and just knowing that it's a new day and we can make a difference in the world no matter what. And yeah, so embrace the suck.